that one's then.
Yeah, we took that tree off of the north side.
That's right.
Who is T? Looks like a lot.
Okay, so now I need to start. See if it works.
Oh, Sean, can we test microphones?
We did.
Oh, you did. I don't know if we turned it back on.
Sounds good.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing? Microphone sounds good, thank you.
Okay.
You can speak up a little bit louder.
What?
Hey, George.
Give subtitles a try. We don't want to.
So who do we have on there? I saw Steve Jennings.
But I've got, are we good?
No, there should be, might be a few.
See a few stragglers.
Yeah, can you wait until about 5 after?
Sure.
Okay.
Just check. I'll do it next Tuesday. Yeah. Up there where we're at, there's only like 80 people in the whole township, so it's not like there's gonna be a line. You could go here, I guess. Oh. I gotta order it.
What are we getting there?
There's subtitles. Trying to figure out how to turn them on.
No. There's no chair, there's no vice chair, there's only a secretary. Rich Crizula, retired from the committee, and, we lost Bo, Skopskowitz in November. So, no, I'm just a member. I'm a board liaison.
Good.
But they all have full-time jobs and don't live at the lake.
I'm gonna get an application for a committee. I'm gonna put Jack Finley on.
There you go, just, he'll be surprised when he gets the phone call from the chairperson saying, thank you for your application.
I'm gonna do that.
Parks.
Okay, they're out front in the kiosk.
These are Parks. John Deal. And Steve Jennings.
Is he writing down who's on Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh, I was doing that too. Okay. Can I see your list, please? Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. Because you won't be able to.
Okay. I got Barb, George, Sean.
Got George Drobos,
Mhm.
Bob Hendren, Richard Park.
Oh, yeah.
John Deal,
Good.
Steve Jennings.
I would argue.
That's good. We're watching.
I got her. That's Steve Jennings. Okay. Any other legal people?
I got
Good, yourself, Steve?
well,
I haven't seen you for a while.
it's been a long time.
I know.
Worry about you all the time.
Well, good thing.
You heard about all you guys.
Yep. Well, you know, it'll be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just as bad when we were in Arizona.
Was it really?
Yeah, they closed a lot of the clubs, or most of them. They're all open now, but they're distancing.
Yeah, you're ready, I guess. Monday.
All right, we're gonna get started, guys.
Right. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and honestly, you guys, I think that, if someone comes in, we can have,
Kirsten, do it.
or Steve can do it, but we'll get it done.
All right,
Thank you.
you guys have a good one.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start, but I have to talk loud, and so I am doing a check. Can my Zoomers hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes,
Okay, thanks, George. Okay, so tonight is the fourth town hall meeting for the 2021 proposed amended and restated declaration and bylaws. And so I want to do a welcome, for legal commissions this evening. We have Steve Jennings on Zoom with us and myself, and hopefully some other, legal commission members will be joining us. Board members, we have Steve Tribby, Mike Harris, Barb Hendren, Steve Borst, and Gordy Williams should be joining us soon. So, I want to tell you, the charge of the legal commission is to review the ACL-COA covenants and restrictions, bylaws, board policies, and rules and regulations, and make recommendations to the board of directors and membership for changes based on current and perceived future needs of the association. It can include long-range planning, use of private properties as addressed in the governing documents, and that we should make reports on the work of legal commission. The members of legal commission includes myself, Steve Jennings, Bill Doran, Sandra Malahy, and Dave Ogwood. Former members include Rich Prezula, Marge Clark, Kathy Richards, Bo Skopsowitz, and Larry Lodi. We have been working on our charge of the governing documents for the last 5 years, okay? And we have come to a point that we feel we are ready to make a recommendation to the board, and we are seeking the board's approval. What's different during this process than from the past is we have worked closely with the association's legal counsel. Key and Costello, our legal counsel, was retained by the association approximately 3 years ago. What intrigued us about this law firm was that they focus only on homeowners associations. We have worked closely with attorney Keith Jones. He has experience in preparing and amending association governing documents such as declarations, bylaws, and rules and regs. Having him involved was key because Apple Canyon Lake Board of Directors has been working for the last 3 years to align all of our governing documents so the language is in alignment with another document. So, how have we done this? We have gone to the Board of Directors 2 times to share our work, and then we go again in November. And that is at the meeting where we are seeking an affirmative motion to send the proposed covenants and bylaws to the membership for a vote. We have had 3 town hall meetings so far where we have walked through the covenants and the bylaws, article and section by section, and collected questions from people who have participated. We've also have met following meetings, the legal commission has met to review any changes the board has suggested, or following town hall meetings, they have met to review questions, suggestions, edits that have come in. We have had many changes made in the documents because of our town hall meetings. And it's very exciting because that's what we wanted. We wanted to hear what people were concerned about. We went back, we reviewed it, and sometimes we made changes, and sometimes we retained the language. Most likely, if we retained it, it was because there was no flexibility in SECA, the Not-for-Profit Corporation Act, or another governing document to let us change it. So Sean is going to review changes we have already made, and we are starting, I believe, we're gonna go back and forth, I think, between the declaration and the bylaws.
Okay, these are changes that the legal commission discussed this past Monday at their meeting. Some questions that came up from the last town hall meeting or after that town hall meeting. In the declaration, Article 6, Section 13, is there any merit to put senior exemption in the definitions to further define the meaning? The legal commission discussed this and felt that it was not necessary to add a senior exemption to the definition because there'd just be more of a reference than a definition. And we tried not to have reference in the definitions in these two documents. We tried to clean that up. So we've kept it so that senior exemption refers to Joe Davies County.
Okay, there's the report.
Hold on.
I can hear it.
All right, there we go. So for that reason, we decided not to add a senior exemption definition. In the bylaws, Article 5, Section 1, we had a question about the word managed. They felt it was too strong of a word and that the general manager was hired to manage the affairs of the association. The legal commission felt that the word manage is appropriate in this section because in Article 7, Powers and Duties of the Board of the Directors, Section 1, it states that the Board of Directors shall exercise for the association all powers, duties, and authority vested in the association by law, including but not limited to the provisions of SECA, as amended and in effect from time to time, or by the relevant covenants, or by the bylaws, as amended and in effect from time to time, except for such powers, duties, and authority reserved by the law or by the restated covenants to the voting member. So for this case, we felt that manage was appropriate for what the Board of Directors does with the association, so we kept that language. The next question was instances where sections in the bylaws were removed because they were already listed in the declaration. And then the question was, what's the difference between the declaration and the bylaws? The covenants of the declaration cover the what of the homeowners association. The bylaws cover the how. So the declaration covers the rights and obligations of the homeowners association to its members and the association. The contents often include property, use restrictions, clearly defined maintenance obligations for the homeowners association, and individual members' mechanisms to rule enforcement and dispute resolution, lender protection provisions, assessment obligations, and insurance obligations. The bylaws cover the how. The proposed amended and restated bylaws for Applecanian Lake Property Association establish the structure of day-to-day governance of the homeowners association. The bylaws are operational guidelines dealing with organizational and administrative aspects of the homeowner community. The bylaws include language on frequency of homeowners association board elections, process of nominating and electing new board members, and number of members that serve at one time. length of the board member's service time, meeting frequency, and quorum requirements and duties and responsibilities of the board members. Then there was a request to consider changing the language in the declaration allowing the use of vacant lots. The Legal Commission talked about this for quite a while on Monday and came to a conclusion that it would be too difficult to manage if we were to allow somebody to use their vacant lots for a temporary structure, possibly a fire pit, or to put their trailer on that while they're on the lake. It could start out with a campfire, then a tent or camper, and then a picnic table. And then we worry about safety. Longer dry grass, dry conditions, non-owners, trespassers making a campfire. They also feel that different regulations for different vacant lots would be confusing for owners and lead to owners doing whatever they wanted. The proposal was that if you own the lot and you had a house next to that lot, you could do certain things, but if you only owned a vacant lot, you could do other things. So overall, the commission felt that we want to keep it the same. It's always been that way, that the vacant lot needs to stay vacant and nothing else could happen on that lot until there is a dwelling, a house. So one last change that we had was regarding calling a special meeting. Why was the number required for voting members to call a special meeting raised from 125 to 20% of the total votes of the association? Raising it to 540 makes it very difficult for property owners to call a special meeting when they have issues that they feel need to be addressed. When the Legal Commission was reviewing the documents and talking to legal counsel, the thought was, let's keep everything consistent. So the attorney's comment was the number of voting members required to call a special meeting of voting members was revised to 20%, which is consistent with the reference in Section 1-40B3 of SECA, and to match the change in Article 12, Section 6 of the Bylaws to the quorum requirements for voting member meetings to 20%. Section 1-40B1 and 1-40B3 of the SECA allow the association to have a lower quorum requirement and a lower threshold for the number of voting members required to call a special meeting of the owners. However, these two provisions should be consistent, so the association doesn't have a situation, for example, where only 125 owners need to sign a petition to call a special meeting, but then several hundred more, 549, would be necessary to achieve a quorum at that special meeting. So the thinking in with Legal Commission is let's keep that the same, 549 for each. But what the owner pointed out was it's difficult to get 125 people to call a special meeting. It's going to be very difficult to get 549, and that's just to call the special meeting. You'd still need 20%, the 549, to reach a quorum at that special meeting. So while the Legal Commission does agree that the consistency is important in the documents, they also felt that a difference in calling a special meeting, 125, and a quorum 20%, at that meeting would be fine. They agree that raising the requirement to call a special meeting from 125 to approximately 549 could be difficult for owners. So they agreed to change back to the original language requiring 125 voting members to call a special meeting. So we saw that that was a valid point and that we will go back to original language for that section. Actually, it's in two sections of the bylaws. Okay, so those are the changes that we discussed on Monday, and those are now changed in the documents that are presented. As far as gathering feedback, if you're here in person at the town hall meeting, you can step to the microphone and ask a question. We just ask that you state your name and lot number, and you speak into the microphone so everybody can hear you on Zoom and Facebook. If you're joining through Zoom, please hit the chat button if you want to ask a question, and we'll read it aloud and then discuss it. Or if you're on Facebook Live, hit the comment button and then write down your name and lot number and your question, and we'll discuss that also. Our process for gathering feedback will be collecting feedback from the voting members until November 21st, 2020 Board of Directors meeting. This is when the Legal Commission will ask to take the amended and restated declaration and the amended and restated bylaws to the voting members. and that documents will start being published in December for the January meeting. So please, you've got about 3 weeks left of this, 3.5 weeks left. If you have questions, please submit them. If you're not here in person and you want to think of something after this meeting, go to the association website. We have a town hall page, and within that, there's a submit questions link that goes right to the legal commission. They'll discuss them. Legal commission's meeting every week now, so we'll discuss them at that meeting and then get back to you on your answer. And then also, post that on the question and answer section of that website. So if you want to call me, if you want to email me, I'm happy to help also. We'll submit that to the legal and we'll talk about that too. So we have many ways to submit your questions or concerns, or if you just have questions about something and want to discuss it, please let me know. I'm happy to help you. And there's people on legal commission that are happy to help also. And we've got some that are actually willing to meet with people face-to-face or individually on the phone and discuss both documents and questions or concerns they might have. So if you have these, we can find a way to get a hold of you. We can find a way to get you this information that you'd like. Okay, questions and comments. Today we're done with the documents. We've reviewed them, so now we're wondering if there's any more questions or comments. If anybody has anything, please here in person. If you've got anything, please come up to the microphone. Or if anybody has something on Zoom or Facebook, please submit them.
Ron, do you have any questions? Mike? Steve?
Good. Following along closely.
Okay. At this time, we haven't had any questions submitted or asked here, so but again, if you have some afterwards, you think of some as you're reviewing, please submit those, and we'll deal with those when they come in. Now the voting procedures. Now they're different for both documents. The declaration, the proposed changes for the declaration need an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the voting members eligible to vote in person or by written ballot at a meeting of the association duly called for the purpose of changing the 2017 declaration, provided that such notice of the meeting shall be sent to all voting members at least 30 days in advance and upon its recording in the office of the Recorder of Deeds, Joe Daviess County, Illinois. So there's 2,743 lots in Apple Canyon Lake. 2/3 affirmative votes that we need approximately 1,830 affirmative votes in order to change the declaration. Okay? So that's why we're going to be out there asking everybody to vote. And please know who your voting member is so that the person that can vote submits that. Now, the voting procedure for the bylaws is different. We need an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the votes cast by the voting members voting at a regular or special meeting of the voting members. So what this means is everybody that votes, we need 2/3 affirmative for that. But we don't need 2/3 of all voting members. So if 1,000 people vote, we would need 667 affirmative votes in order for the bylaws to pass. The notice for the bylaws is at least 14 days, but not more than 40 days in advance. This, again, is different wording than in the declaration. Now the calendar dates and the timeline. Approval from the Board of Directors to take the documents to the voting members with proper notice will be on November 21st, 2020. That's when the Legal Commission will bring their recommendation to the Board. We're going to distribute the documents and ballots on voting members to the voting members on January 8th, 2021. These will be included in your annual assessment packet. So along with your statement, all of your paperwork for slips and UTVs and campground and all of that will be 2 documents, the declaration and the bylaws, along with 2 ballots. So we'll need you to sign both, the voting member to fill out both ballots, sign them, and then send those back to us. The notice of meeting will be February 6, 2021 at 9 a.m. This meeting will not be adjourned if we don't have 1,830 votes for the declaration. Another date will be set for March 6, 2021. If we don't have the 1,830 votes at that time, we extend the meeting until April 3rd, and so on until we have those votes. For the bylaws, if we have the affirmative 2/3 vote of the total members submitted, we record the bylaws with the Joe Davies County. So once we have that quorum, then we can close the bylaws, and that vote will be over.
So what we're trying to do is, we are really trying to collect all the votes in January. We are saving the association money by including the ballots with the annual assessment. Some people get their annual assessment electronically. They would also, the voting member would get the ballot electronically. So we are running a campaign to commit and to submit equals for ACL. And so this is really important that you don't have to wait to pay your assessment. Maybe you wait until March 1st to pay your assessment. You can still mail in your ballot. You can vote electronically if you are not local, but we want you to vote in January. We would really like this to be a one and done event and not carry out. For what reason? The C for commit and S for submit can also represent cost and savings. The longer we promote or we take to get the affirmative votes and keep continuing to meet until we get it, is an expense to all of us. And so it comes out of the operations budget. It's an expense with printing the materials and resending out the ballots. It's an expense with mailing. And of course, there's a huge labor expense in keeping up with this. And so if we can commit and submit for ACL in January, it's a win-win for us in many ways. So, that is what we have tonight. The purpose of this meeting was just to allow questions to come in and to be able to give a preliminary response and then follow up with taking it to legal commission and also putting it on the town hall webpage. We also have recorded all of these town hall meetings so people can watch them at home. You have a question, Sean?
We've got one from Facebook.
You know what, I'll give you the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, so this question is from Travis Crandell from 14A113 Deer Run. What are the rules on putting solar panels in a backyard and not on a rooftop?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. So repeating the question one more time. What are the rules on putting solar panels in a backyard and not on a rooftop?
That's in the energy policy, which actually is part of the declaration, but the energy policy is voted on by AECC and then the Board of Directors. And it doesn't need a ownership vote, even though it's in the declaration. That's the way state statute is. So Legal Commission actually has not addressed the energy policy at all. So I'm happy to answer that. I'm not prepared to answer that right now, but I will send an email to them to let them know what those rules are. They are covered in the energy policy.
And I believe they are posted on our webpage under, governing documents,
Yeah, they are. That's true, yeah.
so he can get the answer there too.
Anything else? No? I don't have anything on Zoom.
Sean, I have a question.
Okay, George?
When will we see a final copy of the declarations, bylaws, and covenants?
Well, once the board approves it, November 21, we'll start printing them. So at that point, we'll have final covers, or final copies. So I would think on the website, or if you want to pick them up here, we'd have them available, soon after that.
Okay, that's before the vote?
That would be before the vote, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Very
Once
good.
the board approves those documents for publishing to send to the membership, we cannot make any more changes at that time. So it'd be
Okay.
after November 21st.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sean, we will also be publishing the documents in the December Apple Corps
Yeah,
with all the changes.
that's true. Yep.
And then, copies go out with the ballots.
Yep, exactly. Okay, anything else from anybody? Nothing. Okay. Again, if you think of something later tonight or during the week, please submit that. We're happy to help you and answer any questions you have. Thank you for attending tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
But you came to the right meeting. But, Sean, can you send PowerPoint